Hello everyone, welcome back to Actual English. I'm Jennifer Clyde. We have come a long way and we are on lesson 380. Today's topic is my greatest lesson 1. Now what I mean by this is perhaps a lesson or two or perhaps even more lessons. Lessons that you have learned through experience, through friends, from mistakes. Okay, throughout life, things you've learned, okay, those experiences you have gained. We're going to be talking about all of that today. As always, we're going to begin with our first segment, Actual Talk, and have a listen to what Gareth and Kelly has to say about today's topic. So here we go. Be all ears, everyone.
Gareth, I'm not calling you old, but I feel that you've got enough wisdom to be able to tell me your greatest life lesson up to this point. That's a big question, but what would you say it is?
I think, life is full of ups and downs, but I think pain and suffering in difficult times teach you a lot. You learn a lot about yourself, about the important people around you, friends and family who are there for you or not. And then I think you learn to appreciate, the simple things in life and enjoy life. And
what are some of those simple things?
I'll be very basic here, like, having food and water and, conversation with good people and going on holidays, or that's maybe even too fancy, just very simple, going for walks.
So things that people take, that people take for granted.
You got it, yeah. And you, what do you think?
I got a very good piece of advice recently, actually, which is a Buddhist concept. Have no expectations.
All right.
Be grateful when you're given something, but don't expect anything. And it sounds like it's not that meaningful, but if you apply it to life, that's big.
Absolutely.
If I expect something out of my friend, that could lead to a lot of pain.
Absolutely.
Same thing with my job.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm just grateful for what I'm given, that leads to a lot of joy.
It really does, yeah. And being positive as well. You can create your own, you can sculpt your own life. We're in charge of our own lives. A lot of people forget.
I believe that. I think that independence is important.
And that was Actual Talk, a conversation between Gareth and Kelly about their greatest lesson. So today's topic once again is my greatest lesson. Let's find out what they learned and what they learned from their experiences, what they value in terms of lessons they've learned. Here we go. First of all, we had Kelly saying, Gareth, I'm not calling you old, but I feel that you've got enough wisdom to be able to tell me your greatest life lesson up to this point. Now, this is a very long sentence and a long intro. But first of all, if a sentence is too long for you, and even by reading a sentence, if it's too difficult for you to understand, as I told you, break up that sentence into 2 parts, 3 parts, even more parts if necessary. So first of all, she says, I'm not calling you old, but I feel that you've got enough wisdom, break it up, to be able to tell me your greatest life lesson up to this point, okay? This will make it easier for you to understand, okay? She feels that he has enough wisdom. What is wisdom? People often say that patience and wisdom come from old age. Why is that? Patience. We learn to be patient as we grow older, okay? People tend to be more patient. The older they are, the more patient people tend to be. Maybe not in all cases, but in most cases. What about wisdom? People that are older than us, okay, they tend to have more wisdom than young people. That is because wisdom itself means the ability to use one's experience, okay, and one's knowledge to make sensible decisions, okay? So When it comes to having wisdom, we're talking about the ability to make good decisions, okay, sensible decisions and judgments based on your experience and your knowledge. That's why we say wisdom comes from old age, okay? Anyhow, she's saying that you must have some experience, okay, to be able to tell me your greatest life lesson. This is the point. Simply put, she's saying, what is your greatest life lesson up to this point? Here we go. A first pattern, up to a certain point. Up to when? Up to basically means as far as, until, okay? So until this point, until now is what she's saying. So until now, what is your greatest life lesson, she asks. And she says, that's a big question, but what would you say it is? A big question meaning what? A question that is possibly slightly difficult to answer. It's not an easy question to answer. Moving on, Gareth says, life is full of ups and downs. Here we go. That is our next pattern for today. If something is full of something, you're saying there is much of something, a lot of something, many of something. So there's much of ups and downs. There are many, many ups and downs, ups and downs. What do we mean by ups and downs? Usually, it's used with the S on both up and down. Never up and down. Well, yes, up and down is sometimes used, but usually we say ups and downs. We're talking about the rises and falls of fortune. Okay, sometimes we have lots of money. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're lucky. Sometimes we're unlucky. So ups and downs, we're talking about the good times and the bad times. So life is full of, there are many, many good times and bad times. But I think pain and suffering and difficult times teach you a lot, he says. Pain is easy. Suffering is also very similar to pain. Okay, we're talking about the kind of pain that we feel in our body and mind, physically and mentally. Okay, and difficult times also, hardships. We learn from these, right? So pain, suffering, and difficult times teach you a lot. You learn from these things in life. You learn a lot about yourself, about the important people around you, friends and family who are there for you or not. So you learn about yourself, about the important people around you, such as friends and family, who are there for you or not. Okay? Yeah, people can be there for you. Sometimes they're not there for you. And then I think you learn to appreciate the simple things in life and enjoy life. Appreciate means what? Be thankful for. Okay? So if you appreciate something, it means that you are thankful for something. He says you learn to be thankful for, to appreciate the simple things, the little things in life, and enjoy life. All right. Now, Kelly says, what are some of those simple things? What are they? Okay? Tell me, what are they? He says, all right, having food and water. Let's circle keywords. Having food, water, and conversation with good people. Okay? Going on holidays. We're talking about going on vacations, trips. He says, that's maybe even too fancy. Now, he was talking about the simple things, right? Okay? Things that are very easy to come across. Things that are there for us. So he says some examples are food. We should be thankful for food that we have. We should appreciate water that we have. We should be thankful for the conversations we have with good people around us. And maybe even the chances that we have to go on holidays. We should be thankful, happy for these. Maybe it's too fancy. Maybe that's not just simple, but more than simple, he says. But just very simple things, such as going for walks, watching a good movie. These are the simple things that Gareth is talking about. They are very simple, right? Very simple things. Food, water, conversations, movies, okay? Or even going for simple walks. These are simple things we could appreciate in life. Kelly says, the things that people take for granted. So she is agreeing with Gareth and saying, yeah, I think I know what you mean. You're right. Things that people take for granted. All right. Now, you can take something for granted. You can take someone for granted. So you can take a thing for granted. You can take a person for granted. What is the difference? Very similar, okay? If you take something for granted, you are expecting it to be there for you all the time, okay? You're not thankful for it because, let's say, for example, water, okay? Water is there for us. It's easy to find water. So we often take water for granted. Water's always there. It's easy to find. Do we ever say, oh, thank you. I'm so happy we have water? No. So people can take things for granted, meaning they expect it to be there easily anytime you want. Now, you could also take a person for granted, which means that you expect him or her to be there for you anytime, every time you need them. You're not really thankful for them because they have been there for you maybe too often, okay? So, take something for granted. She's saying things that people take for granted. You got it? Yeah. And you know, he says, what do you think? Here we go. What do you think? He's asking Kelly what she thinks. Here we go. I've got a very good piece of advice recently, actually, which is a Buddhist concept. Okay? It's a Buddhist concept, and she says it is. Have no expectations. Simply meaning do not expect. Okay? If you expect something to happen, you look forward to something happening. Or you're almost positive it will happen. It must happen. Okay? So you look forward to something because you think it is going to happen. You expect it to happen. But she says have no expectations. And be grateful, be thankful. Okay? When you are given something, but don't expect anything in return. This I added to help you understand. So this is a Buddhist concept, and she, heard this from someone. It was a piece of advice that she got from someone. So have no expectations, okay? Be grateful. Be thankful for what you have. Be thankful for what you are given, and do not expect anything in return. So what she is saying is, the idea is, just because you gave something to somebody, don't expect him or her to give you something back. Be happy. Be grateful for being able to give. Be happy with that. That's the concept. Got it? Moving on. She says, and it sounds like it's not that meaningful, but if you apply it to life, that's big. Meaning, it's very meaningful. You know, like if I accept something out of my friend, if I expect something, okay, something out of my friend or from my friend, that could lead to a lot of pain. That's true. That is, if your friend doesn't return something. You hope for something. You look forward to something, but he or she does not give you something in return, then you're going to be sad, okay? You're going to be disappointed. And in that case, you will have a lot of pain, okay? That's what she's talking about. And she says, it's the same thing with my job. So in terms of jobs, it could be the same thing. Now, Gareth says it really does, and being positive as well. Meaning being positive is important. You can create your own. You can sculpt your own life. Sculpt is the same thing as to create, to construct, to make, to build. So he's saying you can build your own life. You can make your own life. We're in charge of our own lives. A lot of people forget. If you are in charge of something, we're talking about our life. It means you have control over your life. So basically he's saying, create your own life. Sculpt it, build it, manage it. If you want to live happily, make a happy life for yourself. Make yourself happy. Don't expect other people to make you happy. Okay? And here we go. Kelly says, I believe that. So she agrees and she says, I think that independence is very important. Independence meaning the ability to do things on your own and not expecting others to do things for you. So I think it's true. Being positive, learning to create things for your own self, and just being independent. Being happy with what you can do for yourself and not relying or depending on other people too much. Maybe this is the way to lead a happy life. Okay, let's take a listen to today's actual talk one more time.
Gareth, I'm not calling you old, but I feel that you've got enough wisdom to be able to tell me your greatest life lesson up to this point. That's a big question, but what would you say it is?
I think, life is full of ups and downs, but I think pain and suffering in difficult times teach you a lot. You learn a lot about yourself, about the important people around you, friends and family who are there for you or not. And then I think you learn to appreciate, the simple things in life and enjoy life. And
what are some of those simple things?
I'll be very basic here, like, having food and water and, conversation with good people and going on holidays, or that's maybe even too fancy, just very simple, going for walks.
So things that people that people take for granted.
You got it, yeah. And you, what do you think?
I got a very good piece of advice recently, actually, which is a Buddhist concept. Have no expectations.
All right.
Be grateful when you're given something, but don't expect anything. And it sounds like it's not that meaningful, but if you apply it to life, that's big.
Absolutely.
If I expect something out of my friend, that could lead to a lot of pain.
Absolutely.
Same thing with my job.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm just grateful for what I'm given, that leads to a lot of joy.
It really does, yeah. And being positive as well. You can create your own, you can sculpt your own life. We're in charge of our own lives. A lot of people forget. Yeah.
I believe that. I think that independence is important.
Yeah.
All right, hope you enjoyed the actual talk conversation one more time. Now it's time for us to take you to actual expressions and take a look at these vocab words, and then we'll go over 2 patterns for today from the conversation. First of all, let's take a look at the word wisdom, a very important word, wisdom, okay? You may already know what wisdom means, but as I told you, it's very similar to insight. Okay, the ability to, use your experience and your knowledge to make sensible judgments or decisions. Judgment is another good synonym, and knowledge, all right? Perhaps even experience, wisdom. Suffering, here we go. Stress goes right there on the first syllable. Suffering. So we're talking about hardships, basically. Okay, the pain that we feel. Not only in our minds, but also in our bodies. So the pain that we feel in our body and mind. It's just hardships, in other words. Suffering, hardship. Also expectation. Now, this is tricky. Take a look at which part of the word is stressed. Expectation. Here we go. Expectation. One more time. Expectation. Very similar to anticipation. You look forward to something. You can hope for something. You can expect something to happen, okay? Expectation. All right, and then moving on to sculpt. Sculpt. It's used in the verb form, like a sculpture, okay? You can sculpt a sculpture, create, build, manage, right? So sculpt means to mold, even build, okay, or even erect. Okay, now let's move on to our first pattern. Up to, okay? In today's actual talk, I believe it was a question asked by Kelly. She was asking Gareth about his greatest lesson, life lesson, up till this point, right? Or up to this point. So up to when or for how long is something you can add, okay? Here we go. I was allowed up to an hour to prepare for the test. maximum in this case, okay? As far as, until is another definition, okay? But if you say you were allowed up to a certain time limit, you are saying a maximum of that time limit. I was given a maximum of an hour to prepare for the test. I was allowed up to an hour to prepare for the test. Okay, so keep that pattern in mind. And moving on to our final one, to take something or someone for granted. Okay, this is often used when you are not thankful for something, not thankful for somebody, for being there for you all the time. You expect them to be there for you, for it to be there for you whenever you need it. So when you appreciate something or someone very lightly, when you value a person lightly, you can say that he or she, somebody takes somebody for granted. Here's a sample sentence. I might break up with my boyfriend. Why? Because I feel that he's taking me for granted. What am I saying here? I might break up with my boyfriend. I'm thinking of breaking up with him. Why? Somebody asks. Because I feel that he's taking me for granted, meaning I don't think he appreciates me. He expects me to be there for him all the time. He does not value me enough. I guess the easy way to put it is to appreciate. He does not appreciate me. He takes me for granted. Okay? Please do practice these patterns and the vocab words more on your own. Job well done.